Last year, around this time, I said 2015 was quite frankly one of the best years for video gaming ever. Little did I know, the following year of 2016 would trump it in almost every way possible. 2016 for me has been the best year ever for video games that I've ever experienced. The amount of stunning and worthy sequels to franchises old and new, the brand new IPs, the amazing innovations, the excellent DLC and expansions. 2016 is the year in video gaming where video games showed off their peak perfection in quality and quantity of content. An absolute joy to experience firsthand. And like last year in 2015, where I said that it was one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to make because there were so many good games that came out that year, this year was no exception. If anything, it was more difficult than ever before. Having to pick only 10 of the amazing, breathtaking, revolutionary, and most importantly, incredibly enjoyable video game experiences that came out in 2016? Hell of a challenge, needless to say. However, it is the end of a year, and therefore, it is time for my obligatory top 10 favorite games of the year. These are my absolute most favorite videos to make on my channel, because it is both a celebration and a conversation of the games I just love to play. My previous top 10 games of the years, 2013, 2014, and 2015, remain some of the best and my most favorite videos that I've ever made on my YouTube channel. Let's hope we can make my top 10 games of 2016 join them. And now, without further delay, let us begin. Number 10. Total War Warhammer. Now, I love the Warhammer series, and I've been craving for a proper AAA Warhammer RTS, but I had never played a Total War game before, so I went into this game with both optimism and worry. But what I was rewarded with was a simply epic, grand, spectacular, fantasy, real-time strategy video game. I now finally see why the Total War series has so many fans. The Total War mechanics, in both the real-time battles and on the campaign map, are overflowing with depth, complexity, and an immense variety of options in how you engage your foes for your conquest of the world. On both the campaign map and in the real-time battles, each individual faction within the game plays completely differently in what strategies you use to maneuver and take over the campaign map, and how you organize and command your individual units in the real-time battles. As a strategy game, it just has so much depth and complexity. The game will truly challenge you at how well you know the game's mechanics and how well you play RTS video games. However, what truly steals the show above even the gameplay is the audio and visuals. Everything in this game looks and sounds amazing. The music is epic. The sound design and effects are epic. The actual character models, the detail, the animations. Oh my god, the animations! The audio and visuals of Total War Warhammer truly bring epic fantasy battles to life. The kinds of things that we only saw in Lord of the Rings. The kind of things that we've only imagined and dreamed about. Epic fantasy battles with orcs and dragons and wizards. It's all brought to life in Total War Warhammer in such a magnificent, awe-inspiring way. As a real-time strategy game, it is a must-play. As a work of art, it is a must-see. Total War Warhammer is a spectacular epic. It's the Warhammer RTS I've been waiting for. It's the first Total War game I've ever played, and I love it.
Out into the world once more. How many people had forgotten this mask?
Number 9. Dishonored 2. 2. I love the first Dishonored. It's an excellent first-person adventure stealth game with beautiful visuals, tons of replayability, and very creative and fun superpowers to experiment with. And its sequel, Dishonored 2, follows in its footsteps, with once again beautiful visuals, tons of replayability, and creative and fun superpowers to experiment with. Only this time there's 2 different playable characters. Previous protagonist, the assassin Corvo, and newly introduced protagonist, the Empress Emily. Playing as Corvo plays much like the first Dishonored with a few new mechanics and refined old ones, while Emily flips your typical Dishonored gameplay on its head, with new abilities that allow for amazing feats of stealth and mass murder. And with these 2 playable characters, not only is the game incredibly replayable, but it offers you brand new looks on the same levels and the same story moments. The new addition of multiple playable characters is definitely a huge bonus for the game. And just like its predecessor, Dishonored 2 boasts some incredible scenarios and levels, missions and scenarios that challenge you, but give you multiple options, multiple paths in how you want to approach them. Dishonored is a lot like your classic RPG adventure games. There is no one way to approach a situation. You can approach it any way you want, as a stealthy assassin, never sounding alarms and knocking out guards from the shadows, or a brutal and elegant killer, dominating your foes with superior gun and blade skills. Dishonored 2 is an excellent and worthy sequel to the previous Dishonored, boasting an expansion of the fascinating world of Dishonored taking place in a new location, and the story portraying a plot of deception, twists, turns, family, and revenge. Dishonored 2, once again, like its predecessor, is an excellent video game.
Agent Jensen.
I won't let it happen again.
Number 8. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I love Deus Ex: Human Revolution. It is a fantastic sci-fi RPG adventure game with satisfying multi-layered options and customization for both stealth and first-person shooting combat. And Mankind Divided lives up to the Deus Ex name and legacy by amplifying that in every degree. Once again, filling in the shoes of previous game's protagonist, cybernetic super spy Adam Jensen. Once again, trying to unravel the plot of the evil organization manipulating the world, the Illuminati. Mankind Divided's story, like Human Revolution, is filled to the brim with depth and detail, doing its best and succeeding in immersing you in this enhanced cyberpunk future world, with beautiful visuals, breathtaking art design. Like its predecessor, this game is a sci-fi nerd's dream come true. While you don't visit as many exotic locations as its predecessor, Mankind Divided's game world is filled to the brim with detail and story. However, as great as that all is, gameplay takes precedence, and Mankind Divided builds upon the gameplay of Human Revolution, not only refining mechanics from the previous game, but giving Adam Jensen a ton of new cybernetic enhancements and upgrades to play around with. New toys that allow you to engage in incredibly fun and tactical scenarios in either stealth or combat. Like its predecessor, it's a very replayable game, not only for replaying gameplay sections in completely different ways with different cybernetic upgrades, weapons, tactics, and so on, but also for the story moments. This is an RPG in every sense of the word. There are multiple outcomes for conversations, missions, and even the multiple endings of the game. There's also a nice little extra in Deus Ex: Mankind Divided's Breach Mode, where you play through a series of challenges, completing puzzles, platforming, stealth, and combat to unlock even harder levels, level up, get rewards, better upgrades and gear. It's a cool little addition next to the excellent single-player campaign. What else is there to say but I loved Human Revolution, I love Mankind Divided, it continues the Deus Ex legacy. Number 7. Watch Dogs 2. Despite the reputation the first Watch Dogs has in the gaming community, I really liked the first Watch Dogs. From its engaging thriller crime hacker story to its beautiful visuals and immersive open world, solid gameplay mechanics, and what I enjoyed the most, the actual hacking, the actual manipulation and interaction with the world. Now, while Watch Dogs 2 does carry over and refine and improve many things from the first Watch Dogs, its story and tone is completely different. While the first Watch Dogs was gritty and dark, Watch Dogs 2 is way more over-the-top, silly, funny, colorful, and just more entertaining. Playing as new protagonist, Marcus, an up-and-coming hacker who has recently joined the hacker group known as DedSec, returning from the first game. However, instead of being a faceless, ominous hacker group, DedSec is, well, kind of a family. An entourage of fun-loving friends who just want to expose the truth of corrupt corporations and government. The story and characters of Watch Dogs 2 are just so much damn fun. They're over-the-top, silly, cliched, but I'll be damned if it doesn't put a smile on my face. The open-world environment of Watch Dogs, now taking place in San Francisco, a very colorful, very diverse city in itself, brought to life and realized in this video game. Like the first Watch Dogs, the open world is incredibly immersive, with brilliant visuals, animations, NPC interactions, and landmarks from the city of San Francisco recreated in the game. The open world of Watch Dogs 2 is a marvel to behold, and filled to the brim with fun activities, extras, side missions, and whole new ways to hack the world. New hacking abilities, new equipment, weapons, allow for way more player customization and options, for both stealth and combat. However, especially stealth, the new additions of the buggy drone and quadcopter drone allow for amazing feats of stealth and hacking without the enemy even knowing you were there. I really love how they expanded upon the hacking from the first game with all the new hacking abilities, being able to hack someone's personal profile and make them a wanted vigilante and have the police chase after them, being able to hack videos and have them automatically drive themselves, or being able to hack little security robots and have them do a little dance. Watch Dogs 2 just allows for so many more opportunities of fun, just pure fun. Whether it's screwing around in side missions or in the open world, or the incredibly well-crafted story missions, which have such outlandish situations and set pieces it has to be seen to be believed. I'm really glad to see the Watch Dogs IP, the Watch Dogs franchise, become more of a mainstay in video gaming. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this franchise so far, by this individual video game, and more than looking forward to the future of Watch Dogs while coming back to the games that started it all. And Watch Dogs 2, as a video game by itself, is an excellent, awesome, open-world action-adventure stealth game.
Continue to fight on and right the wrong just to keep the lights on.
May our battle never end.
Number 6. Battleborn. Battleborn is a comic book, a Saturday morning cartoon, a first-person shooter, an RPG, and a MOBA, all brought together, mixed up, jumbled up into one. And it's glorious. Battleborn boasts over 25 different playable characters, with unique, distinct, crazy, and creative designs, personalities, and gameplay. No two of the over 25 characters play the same way, and each one of those characters can be played multiple ways. This isn't your run-of-the-mill first-person shooter. Each character is customizable both visually and in terms of gameplay mechanics and stats, whether you're playing in the story missions or in the multiplayer. As you play through the course of both of those, things change drastically, from the enemies you fight and your objectives, to how you level up, customize, and play your character. Battleborn is jam-packed with replayable content, from having the dialogue in the story missions change and vary, to the multiple game modes and maps in the multiplayer, which have full bot support to boot, and of course, playing as, leveling up, and customizing these awesome characters. I cannot stress enough how memorable, colorful, and creative these characters are, and just how funny the game is. Battleborn has an underlying childish sense of humor, with censored swear words, puns, and more puns, bad jokes, and clever jokes. Battleborn is a game that doesn't take itself seriously and explodes with creativity and color, not just in the story, characters, and gameplay, but the visuals as well. There's very few other games that embody the look and feel of a comic book or a Saturday morning cartoon brought to life in video game graphics format. The single-player story missions are fun, varied, and can be played in co-op. The multiplayer is a nice spin on first-person shooter and MOBA multiplayer elements. And most importantly, to me at least, the game's just fun. I have a lot of fun playing Battleborn, and it's a game I'm going to come back to time and time again, for its characters and for its gameplay.
We have a job to do. We're still gonna do it. It's just...
Landing in 1 minute. Should be able to see it coming up on my right.
Number 5. Tom Clancy's The Division. I never realized until now how much I needed a video game like The Division in my life. A MOBA-lite RPG looter shooter with an emphasis on coming back to the game again and again for more and more. But The Division is so much more than just that. It's an open world game, it's an RPG, it's a third-person shooter, it's a single-player game, it's a co-op game, it's a PvP game, it can even be a one-for-all battle royale game. The Division contains one of the best open worlds I've ever explored in a video game. I love New York City. I've been to there time and time again. It's my favorite destination vacation spot. And seeing New York City recreated in the way it was recreated in The Division in this post-apocalyptic winter setting is a sight to behold. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's one of a kind. As a matter of fact, The Division's graphics overall, it's just a beautiful game. From the textures to the intricate detail of objects and models, the lighting, the gorgeous lighting, the brilliant, breathtaking snow and weather effects, the light destructibility of the environment, and the fire. Oh my god, the fire effects in this game. Woo! The Division also tells an interesting and dark story, filled with mystery, tragedy, and bringing people together to rebuild and fight. However, the story is not what's going to keep you engaged in The Division. It's its gameplay. The Division boasts some of the smoothest, tightest controls and third-person shooting gameplay I have ever experienced. The gunplay is responsive, powerful, satisfying, weighty. Oh, the cover system. The cover system is one of the best I've ever experienced in a third-person shooter-like game. Just so smooth, tight, and responsive. The overall movement, shooting, controls of The Division, it's just a really solid feeling game. And mixed with that solid third-person shooting experience is a solid RPG experience, with total customization over your Division agent, not just in terms of visuals, but statistics and playstyle. Do you want to be a DPS dealer, a tank, a support character, focus more on using your special abilities, or a combination of all the above? I really enjoy the RPG elements, the statistics grinding, inventory management, and just customization of it all, and I really love the special abilities and how you can further customize those special abilities, like having a deployable turret that you can transform into a flamethrower turret, or placing down deployable cover that when used doubles your damage and damage resistance. I also really truly love the story missions in The Division. These are linear, well-constructed levels that have you engage in multiple challenging and just damn fun combat scenarios. And the loot, oh my god, the loot in The Division. Since the loot in the game, weapons and armor, is all RNG based, you never know what you're going to get. Whether it's opening a chest full of loot, loot that a boss you just killed drop, or loot dropped by an enemy player that you killed in the Dark Zone. While the Dark Zone does have a lot of problems, it is an interesting, intense, and somewhat addictive experience. This PvE PvP zone, where you can fight or team up against other players while having to work through dangerous and hard-hitting NPCs. That's already a lot of stuff, a lot of content. But there's so much more. New activities and missions once you hit max level, new ways to experience the game and get loot, whether it's through the procedurally generated RNG missions of the Underground, or the Battle Royale survival game of Survival. There are so many ways to play and experience The Division and get loot. That precious, precious loot, new armor and weapons. I love The Division. It's a game I haven't been able to put down and stop playing since launch. It's a game I'm going to be playing for years and years to come. I never knew how badly I wanted a light MMO looter shooter until now. So happy I got to play Tom Clancy's The Division. Number 4, Gears of War 4. While I was disappointed by the first Gears of War game, Gears of War 4, the latest sequel and installment in this franchise that cemented and popularized cover-based third-person shooters, has completely turned me around on the series. I'm surprised at how much I love Gears of War 4. It almost feels like a video game that was made for me. Lengthy single-player campaign with great enemy variety, set pieces and visuals, extensive multiplayer with multiple maps and modes, and full bot support, a full-fledged survival horde mode, with all of these game modes having the option of co-op, Gears of War 4 gets me as a gamer. The campaign is excellent, with characters that I found interesting and engaging, fantastic cutscenes, visuals, and set pieces, just truly awesome and epic moments of third-person shooting, and oh boy, that third-person shooting. The gameplay mechanics feel great. It's a lot smoother than previous games, but still maintains that weight and power, especially in the weaponry. The assault rifles, the shotguns, oh, the shotguns. Killing robots, alien monsters, and other humans never felt so good and bloody. I love the variety of enemies in this game. It leads to some great moments in the campaign, and intense moments of survival in the horde mode. Oh, and I have to mention, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. Textures, lighting, special effects, just the character models and the environments in general, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. A visual, graphical marvel of a game. There's not much else I can say, but Gears of War 4 is a great game with a great amount of quality content. The campaign has great pacing, it's lengthy, it's varied, multiplayer has solid game modes and maps, and horde mode is horde mode. It's awesome. I love survival horde modes in video games, and I'm surprised at just how much I love and enjoy Gears of War 4. It's a true AAA video game experience.
And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Number 3. Dark Souls 3. I love the first 2 Dark Souls games, so I was expecting to love Dark Souls 3, to have played and complete a complete trilogy. But oh my, oh my, oh my. I knew Dark Souls 3 would be good. I didn't know it would be this good, that Dark Souls 3 would be a representation, an embodiment of what makes the Souls series so great. From Demon Souls to Dark Souls 2 to Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3 takes everything about those beloved dark fantasy RPG hack and slash games and beautifully, magically combines it all together to create a simply awe-inspiring game. The visuals, the art design, dark, haunting, hellish, beautiful, surreal. The characters, creatures, and the environments of Dark Souls are both somber and epic, tragic and beautiful. Each environment, each piece of scenery telling its own story and meticulously placed. Not just for the sake of visuals, not just for the sake of lore, but for the sake of gameplay as well. Dark Souls 3, like its predecessors, feels like a game that was created by mad geniuses. Sure, the challenges and tasks laid before you look impossible, but there's always a method to the madness. Whether it's a puzzle through the environment, a puzzle through combat, or a puzzle in just how to progress. Dark Souls 3 challenges you in the best ways. In ways that once you overcome those challenges, it feels amazing. The combat in Dark Souls 3 may be my favorite of the Souls series. While I do enjoy the combat of Dark Souls 1 and 2, 3 just feels so much more smoother, responsive, fluid, truly refined from its predecessors, as well as I love the new weapon combos and special attacks that can be performed by certain weapons and certain dual-wielding combinations. And this wouldn't be a Dark Souls game without the enemies and bosses, and these are some of the best enemies and boss battles you will ever find in all of gaming. And some of the enemy and boss designs are truly horrific and awe-inspiring, especially the boss battles. Oh man, the boss battles, some of the best to be found in the Dark Souls series. They're not just boss battles, they are epic experiences. Through their animations, their gameplay mechanics, and the music, all combined to create an epic duel. I got nothing else to say. Dark Souls 3 is an incredible game. It just might be my favorite of the Dark Souls games, and I love it. Number 2, Titanfall 2. The first Titanfall is one of my favorite first-person shooters and favorite multiplayer games of all time. So needless to say, I had high hopes and expectations for Titanfall 2. Hopes and expectations that were blown out of the water. Titanfall 2 is better than the first Titanfall in almost every way imaginable. Visuals, gameplay, content, Titanfall 2 is an incredible video game, an incredible first-person shooters, and now one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. First off, the single-player campaign. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best single-player campaigns I've ever experienced in any first-person shooter, any video game in general. While its story may not compare to that of a Mass Effect or a Deus Ex, it explores and introduces you to the awesome, action-packed, robot, mecha-filled world of Titanfall. And the plot also works as an excellent, well-made device that moves you from mission to mission, level to level, combat scenario to combat scenario, and my god, it's a hell of a ride. Each level in the single-player campaign has its own feel, atmosphere, and character to it, while providing simply awesome and epic opportunities for the utilization of Titanfall's excellent first-person shooter gameplay, refined to peak perfection from the first game to this sequel. Titanfall 2 is the smoothest, most responsive first-person shooter I've ever played, in both the gunplay and in the movement system, from simply running to the sliding to the double jumping and wall running, and chaining it all together to build up momentum, to outmaneuver your enemies in epic feats and stunts of movement. It's something else to behold. It's something else to feel and experience. Titanfall 2 as a first-person shooter just feels magnificent. Melee is crunchy and powerful and satisfying. All of the weapons feel great, with weight and power that varies from weapon to weapon. And I'm just talking about pilot gameplay. Then there's actually getting in and playing as your Titan. And whether it's one of the Titans from the multiplayer, or your lovable Titan character from the single-player campaign, BT7274, Titan gameplay also feels fantastic. An extension of the pilot, an extension of yourself in a more powerful, heavier, mechanized way. All the different Titan loadouts, from Ion to Scorch to Ronin, all their different weapons and abilities allow for creative combat engagements that not only feel great but look spectacular. And the set pieces, oh my goodness, the set pieces. Whether it's the set pieces that were designed in the single player, allowing you to have unique cinematic moments or unique one-of-a-kind gameplay mechanics and elements, from spaceships and shootouts and exploding, to a cool new weapon and device that manipulates the environment, or even goddamn time travel. The set pieces in the single-player campaign are breathtaking. But then there's the player-created set pieces in the multiplayer. That was one of the things I adored the most about the first Titanfall, is that you would have these moments in the multiplayer that were set pieces created by the players. These moments in multiplayer that you thought you could only see and experience in a single-player campaign brought to life in a multiplayer match through multiplayer player-on-player gameplay. That returns in full force in Titanfall 2, more so than ever with the new pilot and Titan customization. All the new pilot abilities and weapons allow for player engagements that are so varied, intense, and exciting, combining your pilot abilities with the weapons, with your movement, and using that against other players while other players use that against you. It's just goddamn awesome. But further combine that with all the new Titans and their abilities and how they counter and work together with one another, and that awesome transition and feel from pilot to Titan gameplay. You just have one of the best feeling, best looking first-person shooter experiences ever, whether it be single player or multiplayer. I love Titanfall 2. And my number one video game of 2016 is Overwatch. Oh, you should have seen the look on your face! Oh, you thought this was going to be another top 10 video games of 2016 video with Overwatch at number 1. Oh, you've come to the wrong YouTube channel for that. Now then, in all seriousness, before I reveal my number 1 game of 2016, gotta do a bit of story time here. So, before 2016, my favorite video game was Divinity Dragon Commander, which came out in 2013. Divinity Dragon Commander was my favorite video game of all time because I love dragons, I love real-time strategy, I love RPG and story elements, and I love the third-person camera view. Those are just the gameplay styles, types, and mechanics that I preferred. So I never thought that a first-person shooter, as much as I love first-person shooters, I never thought that a first-person shooter could be my favorite video game of all time. That was until 2016. That was until I played the video game that I was most excited for, my most anticipated game of the year. It was until I played that video game, that first-person shooter, that my favorite video game of all time changed. Now, my number 1 game of 2016, and my number 1 favorite video game of all time is...
Rip and tear until it is done.
Doom! Doom is the most fun I have ever had playing a video game ever. I never knew video games could be this much fun until I played Doom. Doom has the single best gameplay I have ever experienced in a video game in a first-person shooter ever. Every single weapon in the game feels fantastic, with true power and weight behind them. Every single weapon is multifunctional, with secondary fires and different ways to use the weapons in combat, and different effects on different enemies. But on top of fantastic feeling weapons, on top of fantastic feeling shooting, it's the game's melee combat system, its glory kills, that just make Doom's gameplay feel incredible. In Doom, you are battling the forces of hell, demons, embodiments of evil, vile, terrifying monsters that want nothing more than to destroy. And you, as the playable protagonist, as the Doom Marine, as the Doom Slayer, bring the forces of hell to their knees and make demons your bitch. With the incredibly satisfying, versatile, well-animated, and mechanically useful executions on your enemies, the glory kills are what make Doom so much damn fun. Crushing demon skulls beneath your feet and fists, tearing them apart limb from limb, and then combining this with the gunplay, the transition from gunplay to glory kill, combining them, using them together to effectively eliminate your overwhelming opposition is just something that Doom absolutely perfects, and it's addictive as hell. The movement system is also solid, being able to mantle and climb up around your environment, double jumping, strafing. It's just a brilliant overall gameplay and gameplay mechanics, combination and meshing of old school and new school first-person shooter gameplay elements and mechanics. Not enough positive things can be said about the game's single-player campaign. The story, while minimalistic, is incredibly clever. The levels and environments are absolutely gorgeous. A beautiful and brutal representation of Mars, and a sci-fi science facility gone to hell, while also traveling to hell itself. All these locations are beautifully realized and detailed, allowing for excellent, fantastic pacing, exploration, and simply amazing, jaw-dropping first-person shooter action when in the combat arenas. The enemies, the demons you do battle with are memorable, colorful, and the addition and subtraction of any of the different demon types completely changes the shootout, completely changes the combat engagement. They look awesome, they look badass, and they're so much fun to kill. Same goes for the epic, larger-than-life boss battles, which are both an amazing joy and challenge to play through. The single-player campaign is goddamn phenomenal. I love it. I love it to death. I love it to hell. Then there's the multiplayer, which is solid and has bot support. While in all honesty, I prefer the multiplayer of Titanfall 2. Doom's multiplayer, however, is solid. It's a solid multiplayer with fun and varied game modes, solid gameplay mechanics, the incredible weapons from the single-player campaign, with a few exclusive weapons to multiplayer which are also damn fun to play with, as well as the added feature of being able to play as one of multiple demons, the demons being a joyride, tearing through enemy players with brutal and unique glory kills and ranged attacks. And then there's the absolutely amazing addition of Snap Map, giving players access to all the assets, props, and developer tools and logic to help create their own game modes, their own single-player and co-op missions, and so much more. The incredible player-generated content that I've seen come out of Doom Snap Map is incredible. Ping Pong, Whack-A-Mole, MOBAs, Five Nights at Freddy's recreated in Doom Snap Map, incredible single-player custom levels, unique and classic old-school multiplayer game modes, and even some standard balls-to-the-wall survival horde modes. Just everything about Doom is incredible. It's an incredible package. It's an incredible package as a product, as a work of art, as a first-person shooter, as a video game, from the single-player campaign to the multiplayer to Snap Map. I love Doom. I love it with my heart and soul. I love Doom. It is my favorite game of the year. It's my favorite game of 2016, and it has become my favorite video game of all time.